I gave my cousin my ancestral braising recipe. In 3 years, she opened 27 chain stores. Annual profit of 60 million. At the end of the year, she only gave me $400. A monthly salary of 400 is enough, right? You just help chop vegetables in the kitchen. It's not hard work. Work hard, Oku? I looked at the pay slip without arguing. But that very night, I quietly locked the craft envelope I'd carried for 3 years into the bottom of my suitcase. The next morning, I stood right across from her flagship store, in front of that broken 12-square-meter garage, and signed a lease. 3 years ago, when my cousin Zhao Yutong came to find me, I was running a braised food stall in my hometown. That stall was passed down from my grandmother. I started learning from her when I was 12. Just caramelizing sugar took me 3 years to master. Grandma said I have a good nose for the same star anise. From different regions and different years, I can tell by smell whether to add more or less. CC. It's a waste for you to stay in this town with your skills. Work with me. I'll put up the money to open a shop. You provide the recipe. When we make money, we split it. I believed her. I showed her grandma's yellowed, handwritten spice notebook. I told her the names of the 13 core spices. I taught the chef she hired the steps for making the master stock, word for word. But what I didn't tell her was, that notebook only had the basic recipe. The thing that really brings the braising liquid to life isn't on paper. It's in my nose, on my tongue. It's in the few seconds of judgment I make, when I taste the broth at 3 a.m. every day. The same Sichuan peppercorns? Today's batch and yesterday's have different numbing levels. The same cassia bark. The oil yield differs between summer and winter batches. These differences can't be seen with the naked eye. Instruments might not even detect them, but my nose can smell them. My tongue can taste them. Then I adjust. 2 grams more, 3 grams less, 5 minutes earlier, 10 minutes later, it changes every day. This kind of thing can't be written on any paper. The first shop opened next to the East City Market, 40 square meters. I ran the kitchen alone. At 3 a.m., I started the stock. At 4 a.m., I added the spices. At 6 a.m., when the first pot of braising liquid boiled, the whole street smelled fragrant. The first month's revenue was 120,000. Zhao Yutong was overjoyed. That night, she treated me to hot pot. Raising her glass, she said, "Cici, you're my golden goose." Then came the second shop, the third, the fifth. Every time a new shop opened, I had to be there for at least a week. I personally adjusted the first pot of braising liquid, making sure the flavor was stable before I left. The chefs in the back could follow my recipe and get it about 70 to 80% right. For the remaining 20 to 30%, I had to tour all the shops regularly, taste each one, adjust each one. By the 3rd year, there were 27 shops. The brand was called Yutong Xianshi. Billboards all over the street had Zhao Yutong's face. The takeout packaging had her name on it. The short 6DO accounts used her profile picture. No one knew about me. While I was blending spices in the central kitchen, Zhao Yutong was in her live stream, smiling at fans and saying, "This is our family's secret recipe, passed down for 3 generations. It's one of a kind." I looked at her face on my phone screen and said nothing. 3 years. I lived and ate in that 10-square-meter employee dorm behind the central kitchen. A metal bunk bed, no windows, suffocatingly hot in summer, freezing cold in winter. I always smelled of braising spices, a smell that wouldn't wash off even after a shower. Zhao Yutong bought a duplex in the city center. She drove a BMW X5, got manicures, permed her hair, wore different clothes every day. Her social media was full of travel photos, afternoon tea, and pictures with various bosses. At the annual party, held in a hotel ballroom, over 30 employees, plus all the shop managers filled 6 tables. Zhao Yutong stood on stage handing out year-end bonuses. Every time she called a name, there was applause from below. Those people smiled as they went up to get their red envelopes, shaking hands with Zhao Yutong and taking photos. The West City shop Ma Najio got 10,000. The regional Ma Najio for the 2 South City shops got 20,000. The flagship store Ma Najio got 25,000. Then she paused and smiled. "Cici, come up." I stood up from the corner seat and walked up. The whole hall went quiet for a moment. People whispered, "Who's that?" "Looks like someone from the back kitchen." Zhao Yutong handed me an envelope. Her voice was loud, deliberately so everyone could hear. "Cici is my dear cousin. She usually helps me chop vegetables in the back kitchen, wash the spices, do odd jobs. To be honest, the work isn't heavy. 400 a month is enough for her, right? You didn't sign any partnership agreement. We're family, so we keep things clear, right?" There was laughter from below, not loud. The polite kind, the knowing laughter that goes along with the bot. Back kitchen chopping vegetables. I heard it clearly. I looked down at the pay slip in the envelope. Over 1,000 days. At 3:20 a.m., the soul of all 27 shops was something I tasted and perfected, one bite at a time. Annual profit of 60 million. She gave me a monthly salary of 400. I put the envelope in my pocket. Thank you, cousin. Zhao Yutong probably didn't expect me to be so easy to deal with. She was stunned for a moment, then smiled and patted my shoulder. Good girl, Cece. Next year, I'll take you on the team building trip to Sonya. I walked off the stage. No one looked at me. They were already discussing which KTV to go to for the after party. Back in the dorm that night, I closed the door. From my work uniform pocket, I pulled out the craft envelope I'd carried for 3 years. Grandma's notebook, written in ballpoint pen on yellowed letter paper. Some parts were blurred by grease stains. Some parts were frayed at the edges. From me flipping through them too many times, I locked the envelope into the bottom of my suitcase. Then I picked up my phone and found the photo I'd taken last week, when I passed by the spot across from the flagship store. A broken garage with its rolling door shut tight, a piece of paper taped to it, for rent. I dialed the number on it. Hello? Is that garage still for rent? The garage was directly across from the flagship store, separated by a 2-lane road, 12 square meters. It used to be an e-bike repair shop. The floor was covered in a black layer of greasy oil stains that couldn't be scraped off. The wall paint crumbled at a touch. Bare cement was exposed. In some places, green mold had grown. The drain was mostly clogged, giving off a sour, foul smell. There was a hole in the ceiling, through which you could see the floor tiles of the apartment above. The landlord was a guy in his 50s. He looked me up and down while smoking a cigarette. You're going to make braised food here alone? In this place? Debt. Minimum 6-month lease. 1,500 a month. But I'm telling you, there's no exhaust system here. There are people living upstairs. If the smoke gets too bad, they'll complain. Oh, I'll figure it out myself. I had a total of 18,700 in my pocket. Saved over 3 years, including room and board. I sent 1,000 to my grandma every month, and 500 to my mom. I saved the rest. After 3 years, this was all I had. I paid 3 months rent. 4,500. That left me with 14,200. I needed money for a stove, a braising pot, spices, beef shank, a freezer, a cutting board, knives, packaging boxes. Everything cost money. 14,200 had to be stretched like taffy. That afternoon, I started cleaning. I scraped the oil stains off the floor by myself, scrubbed the walls with steel wool, and used a spring-type drain snake to unclog the pipe. On the 4th push, a jet of black water sprayed all over my face and clothes. I crouched there, wiped my face with my sleeve, and kept going. Shinyu came after work. He was a sales rep at a building materials market, making about 6,000 or 7,000 a month. Not much. We'd been together for 2 years. We rented a small 1-bedroom apartment, a 20-minute e-bike ride from here. When he saw the garage, he stood at the door. What's wrong? Nothing. I brought the brushes. Take a break. I'll do the scrubbing. He unloaded 2 buckets of latex paint and a few brushes from his e-bike, changed into slippers, and went in. One of us painted the walls, the other fixed the pipes. We worked until 11 p.m. The upstairs neighbor came down and yelled at us for being too loud. Shinyu apologized with a smile. So we'll stop now. After we finished, we sat on the curb outside the garage. I ate a plain steamed bun. He ate one too, washing it down with 2 yuan bottled water from the convenience store. Across the street, the Yutong Xianxia flagship store was brightly lit. A few people were still in line for a late-night snack. The store's sign was huge, gold acrylic letters with lead strips all around. You could see it from far away. Shinyu glanced across the street, then looked at me chewing my bun. He mumbled, "Have you thought it through? If you have, then let's do it." He didn't ask why I left. He didn't ask what happened between me and Zhao Yutong. That's what I'm most grateful to him for. He doesn't ask too many questions. The next day, Zhao Yutong found out. I didn't tell her. The flagship store Ma Najio saw me going in and out of the garage across the street, carrying iron basins and brushes, and sent a photo to Zhao Yutong. When she called me, her tone was light, the kind of voice an adult uses with a child throwing a tantrum. "Cece, I heard you rented a garage across the street. Throwing a tantrum? All right, come back. I'll raise your salary to 5,000. How about that? No need, cousin. I want to try it on my own." Try what? Cece, don't be foolish. I know you can make braised food. But do you know how to run a shop? Do you know how to source ingredients? Can you negotiate prices? You probably can't even get a business license. You're just messing around by yourself. What if you lose money? I didn't answer. All right. Go ahead and mess around. When you've had enough, you can come back anytime. I'll keep a spot for you. When you come back, work hard. I won't treat you badly. That night, my aunt called. "Su Jinsi, look what you've done. Your cousin has been supporting you for 3 years, helping you make money, giving you food and a place to stay, paying you a salary. And this is how you repay her? opening a sop right in front of hers? How did your mother raise you? My mom was standing next to me. She heard my aunt's voice. Her face changed. Her lips trembled. Mom, it's Oku. What's Oku? Your aunt can say whatever she wants. I'll do what I do. And my mom looked at me. She's a simple, honest person. She's never dared to argue with anyone in her life. When people bully her, she just takes it. She's endured it her whole life. I'm not like her, and I don't plan to be. Over the next few days, I went to the building materials market and bought the cheapest stainless steel stove, 3,800. I found a used large pot on a second-hand platform, 600. Through Shinyu, I found a friend who did metalwork. He helped me weld a simple exhaust pipe. That went out the window. Materials and labor, 200. The freezer was one Shinyu got from a coworker. That coworker's barbecue place had gone under. Half price, 800. Cutting board, knives, spice jars, stainless steel basins, scale, packaging boxes. All the odds and ends added up to over 1,000. 14,200. I'd spent about 8,000. I had about 6,000 left for my first batch of ingredients. Shinyu went with me to get the business license and food permit. He'd looked up the process online beforehand and printed out all the required documents. Not a single thing missing. The clerk asked, "What's the brand name?" I thought for 2 seconds. Jinsei braised. Back at the garage, I taped the 2 permits to the wall with clear tape. Then I opened my suitcase and took out the craft envelope. Not to look at the recipe, I already knew it by heart. I just wanted to smell the paper. The smell of oil smoke from Grandma's stove, mixed with the scent of ballpoint pen ink, and a little bit of musty dampness. The paper had been in my hometown for too many years. After smelling it, I locked it back up and started prepping. I went to the wholesale market to pick spices. I crouched in front of the star anise stall for half an hour. The vendor thought I was crazy. I pinched 7 or 8 different batches of star anise, smelling each one. Finally, I picked 2 types. One was fresh from Baise, Guangxi, sharp aroma, shallow layers. The other was aged from Wunshan, Yunnan, rich flavor, long finish. I mixed them in a 3-to-1 ratio. When stir-frying, the white one goes in first for 15 seconds, then the darker one. This kind of thing can never be written on any recipe paper. It was already evening when I got back to the garage. I closed the rolling door and lit the stove. Rock sugar hit the hot oil. Crackling, caramel-colored foam bubbled up. I stared at the pot, counting the seconds. The moment the color changed from light amber to deep brown, right at that instant, I poured in the beef bone stock that had been simmering for 4 hours. Steam rushed up. The whole garage smelled sweet. Then I added the spices, one by one. Star anise, cassia bark, a smashed cardamom pod, cloves, only 4. One more and it'll be bitter, white cardamom. Finally, the thing you can't overdo. At 2 a.m., the first pot of braising liquid was ready. I used long chopsticks to pick up a piece of beef shank. I sliced a thin piece and put it in my mouth. I closed my eyes. Grandma's taste. No, it was even a bit better than when Grandma taught me. Because this time, I didn't have to compromise for Zhao Yutong. That damn cost control at the central kitchen. She made me cut the cassia bark by a third. She reduced the cloves from 4 to 2. Shinyu was woken up by the smell on the folding chair. He asked, "Groggy, is it ready?" Delicious. On opening day morning, I wrote a few words on a piece of cardboard with a marker. Jinsei braised beef shank, limited to 30 portions daily. 38 yuan each. Shinyu said, "You should at least get a proper sign made." "This is too shabby," I said. "No need. Whether the taste is good or not has nothing to do with the sign." At 8 a.m., I opened the rolling door. Across the street, the Yutong Sensure flagship store already had a line. Over a dozen people stood under that glittering sign, waiting to buy the morning braise. The air smelled of braising spices. It was the flagship store's smell. I sniffed it. Pretty much the same as when I left, but I knew it would change soon, because the last time I did a quality trek at the shops was 3 weeks ago. Without my fine-tuning, that flavor drifts a little more off course every week. My side was empty. A broken 12-square-meter garage, a handwritten cardboard sign, a girl in an apron standing behind the stove. Cars went back and forth on the road. No one gave me a second glance. Shinyu stood at the door, hands in his pockets, pretending to look at his phone, but he was really sneaking peeks to see if anyone was coming. 9 a.m. No one. He looked at me. I shook my head, meaning, don't rush. 10 a.m. Still no one. Shinyu's legs started to shake, not from cold, but from nerves. I took out the first batch of braised beef shank. I let it rest on the cutting board for 10 minutes. Then I sliced it. Grandma taught me the knife work. Every slice had to be exactly the same thickness. The cut surface had to be smooth and clean, showing the clear grain of the meat. After slicing, I laid them out on the counter. Pink slices of meat, with a ring of dark brown marinade penetration in the middle. Lie tree rings. The steam carried the braising aroma out. The aroma coming from my side was alive. You could smell the numbing of the Sichuan pepper, the sweetness of the kasha, that little hint of bitterness from the cloves, and the rich, deep flavor of the beef bone stock. At 10:20, a middle-aged man walking by stopped. He was looking down at his phone. His nose reacted first. He looked up, looked around, and his eyes locked onto my stove. Is this braised beef? Beef shank? 38 yuan for half a catty. He hesitated for 2 seconds, not because of the price, but because he was sizing up the place. What good thing could come out of a broken garage? But the smell was just too tempting. He pulled out his money. I sliced a portion for him and packed it. He sat on the plastic stool at the door and opened it to eat. The first bite, he chewed twice, then stopped. His mouth stopped moving, but his eyes started. First he looked at me, then he turned to look at the Yutong Xianxia flagship store across the street. Then he looked down at the braised beef in his hand. Miss, did you used to work across the street? I didn't answer. I kept slicing meat. He didn't press further. After finishing that portion, he bought 2 more. Before leaving, he turned back and said, I'll bring some people by today. After he left, Xinyu couldn't hold it in anymore. He whispered, when he took that first bite, did you see his face? Yeah. Lied, he got an electric SOC. Alright, don't make a big deal out of it. In the afternoon, people started coming in. Most were passers-by who followed the smell. A couple came from the flagship store across the street, probably curious about the other braised fruit place. An auntie in a floral dress bought a portion and sat at the door to eat. Halfway through, she suddenly stopped. She stared at the meat in her hand for a long time. Then she looked up at me. Miss, this taste, why is it so familiar? It's exactly like when Yutong Xianxia first opened its first shop. My hand, holding the knife, paused. I used to buy it every day back then, but as they opened more shops, I felt the taste changed. It got weaker. It didn't have that kick anymore. I thought my own taste buds had just gotten pickier. She took another bite, chewed. This is the taste. It hasn't changed. This is it. I kept my head down, slicing. I didn't say anything. A string in my heart tightened, then relaxed. They could taste it. They could tell. By evening, all 30 portions were sold out. Not a single one left. Xinyu smiled as she helped me wash the stove. Sold out. Don't rush. Let's stick with 30 for a few days to be safe. I need to make sure this isn't a fluke. 30 portions is just a tete. I need to see if these customers will come back tomorrow, and the day after, and a week from now. If their tongues really recognize my taste, then things will be easy. That night, the flagship store Ma Najio called Zhao Yutong. I don't know what was said, but the next day, Zhao Yutong posted on social media. The most important things in the food business are brand and supply chain. The era of the craftsman is over. What can one person with one pot do? Wake up. This isn't the 80s. The picture was a map of her 27 stores. I saw it while I was trimming the sinew off the beef shank. I looked at it for 2 seconds, locked the phone, and kept trimming. The next day, 6 people showed up at my door. 3 were brought by that man. The third day, 12 people came. I recognized 2 of them. They were regulars at the Yutong Xianxia flagship store. In my 3 years at the central kitchen, I'd seen a lot of familiar faces through the surveillance cameras. Now they were standing at my garage door. I opened for business at 10 a.m. In 40 minutes, all 30 portions were gone. I braised another batch, up to 50 portions. By 2 p.m., everything was cleared out. The flagship store Ma Najio called Zhao Yutong again. This time, he stood at his door, his voice low. But I have good ears. After blending spices for over a decade, my ears are as sharp as my nose. Jia. Several regulars didn't come to our place for lunch today. I asked one of them. He said he went to the garage across the street. I couldn't hear what was said on the other end. But after the Ma Najio hung up, he stood by the roadside and stared at me for a long time. I didn't look back. I carried my bucket back in and kept prepping. On the 7th day of business, I raised the limit to 80 portions. I opened at 8 a.m. There were already over 20 people in line. A few were repeat customers who'd come for 3 days straight, bringing their friends. Across the street, the flagship store's morning rush line. From the previous 30-plus people, it's dropped to fewer than 20. The gap is already visible. Around 11 in the morning, something happened. A man in a gray polo shirt, a regular at the flagship store. I've seen him on surveillance footage, no fewer than 20 times, walked into the flagship store and bought a signature braised platter. He sat by the window, took a couple of bites, then put down his chopsticks and stood up. He walked out of the flagship store carrying the unfinished platter, crossed the street to my garage door, and got in line, still holding the Yutong Xianxia container. A young girl from the flagship store chased after him. Sir, is something not to your taste? I can get you a replacement. The man glanced back at her. He didn't speak loudly, but everyone in line heard him. The taste has changed. I don't know when it changed, but this side has the original flavor. The girl's face flushed instantly. She stood frozen in the middle of the road for several seconds, then turned and ran back inside. This didn't stir much emotion in me. But the people in line started whispering. The taste across the street has changed. I've noticed it's not as good lately either. What's the shittery with this place? At noon, a white BMW X5 parked in front of the flagship store. Zhao Yutong got out, wearing a beige suit jacket, her hair freshly curled. She stood across the street for a while, watching the line at my door, then walked over in her high heels. The people in line automatically made a path. Those who recognized her whispered, "Isn't that Tong Jue?" She walked up to me and scanned my workbench, the cutting board, the licenses on the wall, and that handwritten signboard. Then she picked up the serving chopsticks, picked up a piece of braised beef shank, and put it in her mouth. She chewed slowly, her expression changing. The condescending air she had when she walked and faded bit by bit. Her brow first furrowed slightly, then relaxed, then furrowed again. She put down the chopsticks and looked at me. I looked back at her. "If you want to buy, get in line." Zhao Yutong's mouth twitched. She didn't say a word, turned, and walked away. Her high heels clicked on the concrete, click-clacking back to her car. She sat there for a long time without starting the engine. I knew what she was thinking. For 3 years, she believed the core of braising was that recipe paper. She had the central kitchen chefs follow the recipe strictly. Each spice measured to the gram, each step timed to the minute. The product was indeed consistent, each batch pretty much the same. But between pretty much and right, there's a river she could never cross. That river is called living taste. She doesn't know I make micro-adjustments every day. Today's batch of kasha bark is milder, so I use 2 fewer pieces. This batch of beef bones has higher fat content, so I simmer it for half an hour less. Today it's colder, so I extend the braising time by 15 minutes. Her chefs can't do that. They only follow a dead piece of paper. What they produce looks similar, but tastes worlds apart. That afternoon, Zhao Yutong called the central kitchen. Later, the girl from the flagship store, who I have some rapport with, relayed the conversation to me. "Has the recipe been altered?" "No," bought Zhao. "We followed the standard exactly. The output has been very stable." Stable? Stable is useless. The customers are all going across the street, and you're telling me stable? That same afternoon, the flagship store hung a banner. Limited time special. Buy one, get one fry. I glanced at it and went back to cutting meat. 2 days later, among the customers lured back by the promotion, a few showed up in my line again. An older woman, carrying a box of Yutong Stencher braised duck wings, came to my door and asked, "Miss, can I compare this with yours?" Sure. She first ate the Yutong Stencher duck wings, then tried my beef shank. Then she pushed the Yutong Stencher box aside, and said to the people in line, "No comparison. This is the real taste. That's just soy sauce water, ha ha ha." I pretended not to hear, but I knew in my heart. This battle was already half won. Zhao Yutong finally couldn't sit still. In 3 weeks, she did 3 things. First, she had the central kitchen Ma Najio retrack the recipes for all 27 stores, confirming they matched exactly what I had originally provided. Second, she changed spice suppliers twice, from Guangzhou to Yulin, from Yulin to Chengdu. When each batch arrived, she had them make a pot according to the recipe. After tasting, she would shake her head. Third, she went into the central kitchen herself, put on an apron, and personally operated 4 batches according to the recipe. All 4 batches were wrong. She could taste it. She may not cook, but she has a good palate. For 3 years, she's eaten her own products daily. She knows the taste. Now, how to describe this taste? It's edible, not bad, but it's just missing that one breath. Like a bowl of soup missing that final pinch of salt. It looks full, but tastes empty. She couldn't pinpoint the difference. So she did a 4th thing. She spent 80,000 yuan to hire a food engineering technology team. 4 people came, bringing a truckload of instruments, gas chromatographs, mass spectrometers, electronic noses, flavor analysis equipment. A big production. First, they bought 10 portions of my braised beef shank from the garage, took them back for sample analysis, and tested for 3 days. They produced a report over 20 pages long, with all volatile flavor compounds and their concentrations clearly labeled, down to the ppm level, Maillard reaction product ratios, amino acid content, saccharification levels, itemized clearly. Then they tried to replicate it based on this data. Zhao Yutong took the first bite. She chewed for a while, then put it down. "It's off." "Where is it off?" The lead engineer, surnamed Zhou, was in his early 30s, with thick glasses and a blunt manner. "It's okay while you're eating it, but once you swallow, it's gone. The one across the street leaves an aftertaste that lingers for half an hour." For the second version, engineer Zhou added a trace of smoked flavor extract. Zhao Yutong shook her head. "It's like burnt plastic." For the third version, they removed the smoke flavor and added caramel. "Too sweet." The original sweetness was subtle, barely there. "Yours is too obvious." For the 4th version, they changed the order of ingredients, simulating a 2-stage method. high heat stir-frying first, then low temperature slow braising. This version was the closest. Zhao Yutong's eyes lit up when she tasted it. First bite, second bite, her expression showed something. But by the third bite, it faded again. The beginning is similar, but the middle is empty, and the finish falls apart. How to put it? The money is right, but the connection is broken, and the tail is gone. Engineer Zhou was silent for a moment. But Zhao, to be honest, from a chemical perspective, our replication is about 97% accurate. The remaining 3% might be related to the cooking technique. Lie when to flip the wok. With what force? What the oil temperature curve is. It could also be related to minute variations in the raw ingredients. In plain English, it means the person making this dish makes tiny, real-time adjustments every day based on the situation. Same recipe, same ingredients. But what he makes is different from what anyone else makes. You took my 80,000 yuan just to tell me it's a people problem? But Zhao, science can analyze the components, but it can't replicate the craft. That fact won't change just because you spend more money. She kicked them out. That afternoon, I was braising meat in the garage. A girl walked in holding her phone. Long hair, light makeup, looked like a content creator. Hello. I'm Xiao Shou, a local food blogger. I've eaten all over the city. Can I film your shop? Film what? Just the process of you making the braised food? I saw many people recommending your place online. No need to film the process. Just buy a portion and taste it. She bought one. After taking the first bite while standing at the door, she shoved her phone in my face. But, this is so delicious. She filmed the 6DO and posted it. The title was, The Smallest Shop in the City, the Best Braised Beef Tendon in the City, a 12 square meter broken garage. Why does it make you queue for an hour? This 6DO blew up within a day, getting over 800,000 views. In the comments, someone wrote, this taste is exactly the same as when Yutong Censure first opened its first store. Even better than back then. Over 2,000 likes pushed it to the top. Below, someone replied, Yutong Censure. Did they change the recipe recently? It's getting worse and worse. Another person said, my friend used to work at Tongjia's. She said there was a person who specialized in seasoning, but later left. So Yutong Censure's ancestral secret recipe is someone else's. When I saw these comments, it was late at night, right after I had closed up. Xinyu was beside me while I scrubbed the pots. I locked my phone and put it aside. He looked at me and asked, seen enough? Early the next morning, a new comment appeared under that 6DO. It was posted by the verified Yutong Censure official Otsao. Our brand holds complete independent intellectual property rights and core recipe systems. It has nothing to do with any former employees. Please stop spreading rumors. This comment got over 300 replies criticizing it. Aunt Lu Guilin organized a dinner at a mid-range restaurant in the south of the city, a private room on the second floor. The guests included my uncle and aunt, my mom, my eldest aunt, my younger aunt, Zhao Yutong, plus me and Xinyu. 8 people around a round table. Xinyu didn't want to go to this kind of dinner in the first place. It's a hongmen banquet. If I go, I'll get scolded and can't even talk back. I have to go. They'll say I'm guilty if I don't. He looked at me. Sigh, then I'll go with you. We entered the private room. My aunt's smile was very warm. Sit, sit. Yuzi is here too. Good, good, good. Everyone was present. Zhao Yutong sat next to her mother. She was wearing an expensive silk dress. Her makeup was exquisite. But I noticed dark circles under her eyes. She had tried to cover them, but it didn't work. She hadn't slept well lately. Once the dishes were served, my aunt took a sip of soup, put down her chopsticks, and began. I called everyone here today for nothing else. Just this matter between 1111 and Tong Tong. Let's sit down as a family and talk. Don't let outsiders see us as a laughingstock. She said the words as a family while looking at me and smiling, looking very kind. But I knew what this meal was. It wasn't mediation. It was a trial. My trial. 1111, your grandmother's recipe. You took it, no one stopped you. It was left to you by your grandmother. But Tong Tong has taken care of you for these 3 years. You went from a girl setting up a stall in a small town, to now having a foothold in the city. You can't deny Tong Tong's contribution in that, can you? Aunt, let me finish first. Tong Tong provided the capital, resources, and connections. In 3 years, she opened 27 stores. You made your braised food. She ran her business. You cooperated perfectly. Why did you suddenly leave? And you had to open it right across from her flagship store. Don't tell me it wasn't intentional. It's on the main street. Think about it. Is what she said reasonable? Your cousin helped you make money. What you did is indeed hard to justify. When you were in your hometown town, how much could you earn in a month? After coming to the city, at least you had a steady income. 400 yuan, I said, aunt. And she paused for a moment. My younger aunt also spoke. Thank you. Some words are harsh but are for your own good. How far can you go by yourself, messing around in that broken garage? What if you lose money? Your cousin has 27 stores. What good does it do you to fall out with her? You're not young anymore. You should be more practical. They took turns attacking. Different angles, same meaning. I should be grateful to Zhao Yutong. I shouldn't go against her. I should go back. I kept my mouth shut the whole time. Xin Yu held my hand under the table. His palm was warm. Zhao Yutong never spoke. She occasionally lowered her head to dab the corner of her eye with a tissue, not to wipe tears. Her eyeliner was smudged. It was a performative act, making everyone think she was the one who was wronged. 11, say something. My aunt's patience had run out. She slapped the table. I put down my chopsticks. Aunt, this recipe was passed down to me by my grandmother. I gave it out and let my cousin use it for 3 years. For those 3 years, I got up at 3 a.m. every day to help her prepare the master stock, and helped her maintain the quality across all 27 stores. What she gave me was a salary of 400 yuan a month, and the title of back kitchen chopper. The table fell silent. Zhao Yutong spoke. Her voice was soft, with a hint of a sob, just the right amount. 11, I really haven't done enough, but we can renegotiate. How much do you want? I can give it to you. No need, cousin. I'm on my own now. My aunt slapped the table again, harder this time. You're just stubborn. Tong Tong fed you and housed you for 3 years. What can you achieve on your own? That broken garage? Do you have a Bren? Do you have a Tim? Do you have a customer base? I have my craft. Ha ha ha. What is your craft worth? Without Tong Tong building the stage for you, you'd be setting up a stall in your hometown for the rest of your life. My mother stood up. Her voice was trembling. My mother supported our whole family with this craft her whole life. What do you mean? My craft isn't worth anything? You know exactly what I mean. Your daughter opens a shop right in front of someone else's to steal their business. What's that called? Ingratitude. I stood up. Aunt, are you done? I'm leaving. Burning the bridge after crossing it. I can't wear that hat. Who built the bridge? Whose water is in the river? Who crossed the bridge? I know in my heart. Everyone here can figure it out if they think about it slowly. I took Xin Yu's hand and walked out of the private room. The hallway was very quiet. From the room, I could hear my aunt still cursing, calling me ungrateful. My mother followed me out. She wasn't crying, but her lips were trembling. 11, Mom is fine. Go home. Don't worry, Mom knows you've been wronged. Do what you want. Mom supports you. Xin Yu handed my mother a tissue. He didn't say anything. The evening wind from the restaurant was very cold. What do you want to eat? Roasted sweet potato. He rode his electric scooter around 3 streets, until he found a stall that hadn't closed yet, and bought 2. I sat on the back seat, holding the hot sweet potatoes. I took a bite. It was sweet, brother. Just wait. I'll make every single one of them. Take back what they said today. I couldn't see Zhao Yutong's Q3 report, but I could see something else. She started offering discounts. A banner hung in front of the flagship store. Signature braised platter. Original price 68 yuan. Limited time special 34 yuan. Zhao Yutong used to hate discounts the most. She once said at a store Ma Na Geo meeting, discounting is harming your own brain. I was in the back kitchen, heard it, and remembered it. Now she was the one doing half price. The discount did bring in some customers that week. People lop a bargain, it's human nature. But those who came didn't come back after eating. Once the discount ended and the price returned to normal, customers left even faster than before. Because the discount gave more people a chance to try Yutong Xianxia, and they realized that compared to the 12 square meter garage across the street, it was indeed more than 1 grade lower. The discount became a fry comparison advertisement for me. I didn't change anything on my end. 80 portions a day, sold out every day. Still 38 yuan per portion, never raised the price, and I don't plan to. One day at noon, a man came, in his 40s, wearing a shirt tucked into his pants. His belt was real leather. He didn't look like an ordinary customer, more like a businessman. He waited in line for 40 minutes, bought a portion, but didn't eat it at the door. He carried the container to a nearby step and sat down. He ate very slowly, chewing each bite for a long time, like he was tasting it. When he finished, he stood up, walked across the street to the Yutong Xianxia flagship store, and bought another 68 yuan signature braised platter. He didn't use a coupon. He brought it back, sat on the same step, and placed the 2 portions side by side in front of him. He took a few bites of this one, then a few bites of that one, back and forth. Finally, he put the lid back on the Yutong Xianxue portion, which was still more than half full, and threw it into the nearby trash can. He sat on the step and smoked a cigarette. Then he got up and left. I didn't think much of it. I see many customers every day. I can't remember everyone's face. But that night, things blew up. I heard about it the next day from the girl at the flagship store. She sent me a screenshot. The man's name was Zhang Gang. He was a franchisee of Zhao Yutong's. He had opened 2 Yutong Xianxue branches, one in the west of the city, and one on the east side's commercial street. He had invested over 900,000 yuan. He posted a long message in the franchisee WeChat group. The gist was that he had personally done a comparison test today, and his conclusion was that Yutong Xianxue's products were not on the same level as the products from the garage across the street. And the owner of that garage was Tong Jie, the former core technical staff. He had invested over 900,000 yuan because he was attracted by this flavor when he joined. The flavor was gone. He needed an explanation. The group was silent for a full 3 minutes. Then messages started popping up one by one. Old Zhang, is what you're saying true? My repeat customers are also dropping off. I thought it was a location issue. Wait, the owner of the garage across the street is the one who used to adjust the recipe? Bot Zhao, say something. Zhao Yutong replied after 20 minutes. She said they were currently optimizing the recipe and asked everyone to give them some more time. Zhang Gang replied directly. Bot Zhao, you said that 3 months ago. My 2 stores' revenue dropped 15% in the first month, 23% in the second month, and 31% this month. When will it end? Zhao Yutong said. There will be a new plan next week, Zhang Gang said. Then I'll wait until next Friday. If the taste is still like this by next Friday, I demand a general meeting of all franchisees. The group went silent again. Then someone posted a +1, and another +1. That night, a total of 11 +1s appeared in the group. I knew Zhao Yutong wouldn't just sit back and wait. At 8 a.m., when I pulled up the rolling door, 3 people were standing at the entrance, 2 men and a woman, holding handmade signs. The signs read, unlicensed illegal workshop, unsanitary conditions, who's responsible if you get sick? I recognized the woman. She was the cashier from the flagship store, surnamed Zhao. The customers waiting for me to open were startled. Some pulled out their phones to take pictures. Some hesitated and left. I counted. 4 people left. Xin Yu happened to be driving his van to deliver the beef shank. He saw the 3 people at the door, parked the car, and got out. Don't be impulsive. They're blocking your door, and you want me to just watch? If we get into a fight, we'll end up at the police station. She wants me to get into trouble. Xin Yu sat in the driver's seat, both hands gripping the steering wheel. I walked to the door, glanced at the 3 people, and didn't say a word. I walked back behind the stove, lit the fire as usual, added the ingredients as usual, and started braising as usual. Once the smell wafted out, people gradually started lining up again. An old man looked at the signs, then took a deep sniff of the air, and said to the people holding the signs, why don't you go report all those pre-made meals everywhere? At 10:30 a.m. 2 uniformed officers arrived. Sujinsi, right? We received a report and need to conduct a routine inspection. Fine. All my permits are on the wall. They checked my business license, food operation permit, health certificate, raw material purchase ledger, and daily disinfection log. One inspector flipped through my logbook, went through several pages, looked up at me, and said, your records are very detailed. You've been doing this since day 1, not a single day missed. Temperature, humidity, broth pH, disinfection time, all recorded every day. They also checked the stove, refrigerator, shelves, and drains. Finished. The older one said, no problems on site. All permits are in order. But according to regulations, after receiving a report, we need to take samples. Until the TET results come back, we recommend you suspend operations. It'll take about 3 days. 3 days. I knew these 3 days were what Zhao Yutong wanted. She wanted to cut off my customer flow for 3 days. I waited until I closed up. Xin Yu was so angry outside he kicked a trash can. I taped a note on the rolling door. Cooperating with food safety inspection. We'll resume operations in 3 days. On the first day, people came. They saw the note, sighed, and left. On the second day, more people came. An auntie took a pen out of her bag and wrote something under the note. Wrote a line under the note, waiting for you to open the door. By the third day, there were 7 or 8 messages under the note. One person wrote, the one in the smallest garage spot won't open. I came every day. I haven't been idle these 3 days, organizing ingredients during the day, setting up and marinating beef tendons at night. After 3 days, as soon as I opened, there was a rush to buy. I need to prepare enough stock. The next evening, I got a call from an unknown number. Hello, Bot Su. My surname is Wei. I've been in the food industry for 8 years. I saw your 6DO online. I'd like to discuss a potential collaboration. Is it convenient to meet and talk? Sure, no rush. Feel free to contact me anytime. On the 4th morning, the TET results came out. All indicators passed. 3 of the hygiene indicators, E. coli, salmonella, and total plate count, not only passed, but exceeded industry standards. I taped the TET report next to the rolling door with clear tape. Then I pulled the door open. There were over 30 people lined up outside. I don't know what time they arrived. The old man at the front smiled when he saw me open. Young lady, you're finally open. I sold 120 portions that day. That evening, I posted on my moments. I took a photo of the TET report. Only wrote 4 words. Thanks for your concern. The girl from the flagship store later told me something. But Zhao has changed the recipe for the 4th time this month. She replaced the head of the central kitchen. She brought in someone from a high-tech zone in a neighboring province. A master with 15 years of braising experience. His surname is Ma, in his 50s. He really has some serious skills. After Master Ma arrived, he tasted a bit of the existing braising liquid, shook his head. The broth base is no good. It's dead. But Zhao told him to scrap it and start over. Master Ma worked for 3 days. But Zhao tasted what he made on the first day. Said it was better than before, but still not right. On the second day, he adjusted another version. Still a little off. On the third day, the third day's batch, Zhao Yutong tasted it and was silent for a long time. Better than all previous versions, but still lacking. He drove to my garage, waited in line for 20 minutes, bought 1 portion and took it back to his car, ate it alongside the one Master Ma made. After a few bites, he put down Master Ma's portion. The difference was too obvious on the palate. Master Ma's braising liquid was tasty. My braising liquid was alive. Tasty and alive are 2 different levels. Zhao Yutong asked Master Ma, can you make it the same as his? Master Ma was very honest. But Zhao, I've been at this for 15 years. In all the people I've seen, no one else has his skill. A recipe is dead. A person is alive. This kind of thing can't be taught. It has to grow in your hands. Zhao Yutong said nothing. It's Lia Sheet of Mio Dike. He's the performer. You bring in another musician to play. What comes out is a different song. You don't need to come in tomorrow. After Master Ma left, Zhao Yutong sat in his office all afternoon. He did one thing. He dug out everything I had used in the central kitchen. My braising pot, my chopsticks, the sticky notes I had stuck on the side of the freezer. The notes were in my handwriting. Today, star anise, add 2g. Sichuan pepper, reduce by 3g. Extend cooking time by 5 minutes. He stared at that line for a long time, but he couldn't understand it. He didn't know how I judged if the star anise was good enough. He didn't know why I reduced it by 3. He didn't know which step the extra 5 minutes went into. These things only took me a few seconds to do. Smell it, taste it, adjust it. He could never replicate those few seconds. The atmosphere in the franchisee group had shifted from anger to silence. The kind of silence before a breakup. 2 franchisees posted store transfer notices. One in the west of the city, one in the development zone. Zhao Yutong considered legal action. He hired a lawyer to sue me for trade secret infringement. The lawyer asked 3 questions. Was there a non-compete agreement? No. Was there a non-compete clause in the labor contract? No. Were there any formal confidentiality measures registered? No. But Zhao, if it's a skill in someone's head, you can't win this lawsuit. After hanging up with the lawyer, Zhao Yutong smashed a cup. I was busy with other things. There was an unused storage room next to the garage. I negotiated for over 20 square meters. Monthly rent, 2,000, plus the original 12 bottles. It was over 30 bottles now. I converted the storage room into a prep area and cold storage. Left the stove in the original garage. Sell in the front, prepare in the back. Shinyu came running from the building materials market. Discounted stainless steel shelves and a used freezer. We spent a weekend installing everything. After expanding the space, the daily limit was raised to 120 portions. Someone drove an hour and a half from a neighboring city to buy. Bought 5 portions at once. Another person, a food processing business owner, left his business card. Said he wanted to discuss contract manufacturing. That evening, Grandma called. My mom dialed the number for her. After her stroke, Grandma's speech was slurred, but I could understand her. Cece, how are you? Good, Grandma. What are you selling? Braising. Using the recipe you taught me, ha ha ha. Your grandpa was the same way. Started from a street stall. Later, he was pushed out. She didn't say a word, went back and remarried. You laugh at him. I held the phone. Tears fell onto the edge of the stove, dripped onto the rim of the braising pot, sizzled and evaporated. Grandma, don't worry. This flavor won't be lost. Grandma knows Cece has the best nose. I hung up, wiped my tears, opened my notebook to write tomorrow's prep plan. Tomorrow is Monday. The deadline, Zhang Gang said in the group. The final deadline is this Friday. Zhao Yutong didn't make it to Friday. On Wednesday, another franchisee dropped out, the one in the north of the city. They put up a prime location for transfer sign. That franchisee posted one message in the group: I can't afford to lose any more. So everyone. Zhao Yutong posted a notice in the group that afternoon. Thursday at 2 p.m. All franchisee meeting. Jinjiang Hotel, third floor conference room. He booked the hotel himself. The venue cost over 8,000. He also placed a bottle of water at each franchisee's seat and a copy of the Yutong Stenture brand manual. I wasn't there. I only heard about all this later. The girl from the flagship store went to the venue that day for logistics. She witnessed everything. Of the 22 people representing 27 franchise stores, the owners of 5 stores had already stopped coming. 3 of them were in the refund process. 2 had directly closed their stores to cut losses. Zhao Yutong wore a black business suit and full makeup, but it couldn't hide the fatigue under his eyes. He brought the head of the central kitchen, the accountant, and a legal representative. He had prepared a PPT, talked about the brand's 3-year development history, new recipe R&D progress, marketing plan for the second half of the year, supply chain upgrade plan. When he talked about the new recipe, his voice was trembling. No one in the audience applauded. 22 pairs of eyes stared at him. They were staring at a defendant. After the PPT finished, Zhao Yutong said, everyone, any questions? Let's discuss them together. Zhang Gang was the first to raise his hand. But Zhao, I've seen the PPT, but I have one question. Whose family heirloom secret recipe is it, really? The room fell silent. Zhao Yutong's fingers clenched under the table. The recipe is the company's core asset, protected by intellectual property law. Everyone in this room has invested real money. You don't need to feed us PR talk. He stood up. I went to that 12 square meter garage across the street last week. One girl, one pot. Putting all 27 of your chain stores to shame. That girl is your own cousin, the one who used to adjust your flavors. The family heirloom recipe is her skill. She's gone. What you have left is an empty shell. No one responded, but everyone was looking at Zhao Yutong. Wu Wuqing stood up, a woman in her early 30s. The owner of the store on the commercial street had invested 450,000. Bought Zhao, the first 3 months had lines. Now the taste has changed, the regulars are gone. This month, I'm losing over 2,000 a day. Do you know what that feels like? Your contract says you provide core technical support. Now the core person has left. The taste can't be replicated. How are you going to outsource this to me? Another franchisee, a man in his early 40s. He opened a store in the south of the city. He slammed the table. But Zhao, I invested so much money. I paid for that specific taste. You said it was your family's exclusive secret recipe. No one could copy it. Now the recipe is still there, but the taste is gone. Aren't you contradicting yourself? The garage across the street has no recipe, and their taste is 10 times better than yours. Zhao Yutong's face turned pale. Everyone, let me explain. We are indeed going through a technical personnel adjustment. It's been 3 months. Hired engineers, changed suppliers, brought in experienced masters. None of it worked, because it's not a recipe problem. It's a people problem. How can you not be able to make it anymore? But Zhao, my money didn't fall from the sky. If you can't provide core technical support, I have the right to demand a full refund. He slammed a withdrawal application on the table. Then Zhang Gang slammed one down. 3rd, 4th, 5th. Within 20 minutes, 14 withdrawal applications were laid out in front of Zhao Yutong. His accountant was calculating next to him. The franchise fees and penalties for these 14 stores exceeded 4 million. The only sound in the conference room was the clicking of the calculator keys. Zhao Yutong sat there, couldn't say a single word. After the meeting, no one said goodbye to him. 22 people walked out of the conference room one by one, some with their heads down, some on the phone. Zhang Gang looked back at her before leaving.